most popular fitness goal of all, hypertrophy.
I know most people who train at the gym know what hypertrophy is, but you need this video to simplify hypertrophy training without the use of the terms RIR and RPE and SFR and long length partials and all of the bullshit. So, muscle hypertrophy means increase in the cross-sectional area of the muscle, increase in muscle size. The purpose of hypertrophy training is to maximize muscle growth. Other forms of training like strength, power, muscular endurance also grow muscle size, but to maximize muscle hypertrophy, you need to train within certain parameters. For maximizing muscle hypertrophy, there are 4 parameters: appropriate intensity, appropriate volume, appropriate range of motion, and appropriate proximity to failure. Proximity to failure is probably at the top of the list in terms of importance within these 4 parameters. You need to go as close to failure as possible safely while training any movement or muscle group. This can be done with heavy weight and with lighter weights, but going too heavy can be detrimental to maximize hypertrophy because it then might reduce the amount of volume that you are able to do. And also it can be detrimental while going to proximity to failure because it can get unsafe if it is too heavy. So there is a particular range of load where you would probably be able to maximize hypertrophy the most efficiently. Volume requirements of hypertrophy are somewhere between 10 to 15 sets per muscle group per week, with a repetition range which is as vast as 5 repetitions to 20 plus repetitions. But you will never go wrong by taking the average out of these ranges. So the best course of action for your number of reps and sets is about 10 to 12 sets per muscle per week with about 6 to 12 repetitions per set. This brings us to the appropriate intensity. You need to choose the load or intensity that will allow you to do the number of sets and number of reps with proper form while going as close to failure as possible. So these will be hard sets, proximal to failure, but you should still be able to maintain your form and technique. As you approach failure in a set, your repetition speed will slow down. It definitely will. As the reps slow down because you're approaching failure, it will start getting more and more difficult to maintain your form and technique while you're doing the exercise. At one point, you will start slightly cheating to be able to get that weight up. After some time, after maybe 2 or 3 reps of those slightly cheated reps, you will not be able to maintain form at all. Then all sorts of cheating will happen for you to get that weight up. Right before all sorts of cheating start happening, you stop the set. That is as close to failure as you can get without being unsafe. Going too close to failure and cheating too much on reps is probably not safe, and it is not very conducive to your goal, which is maximizing hypertrophy. If you are isolating a particular muscle, you cheating on the reps will not really isolate that muscle for that exercise. A few reps of mild cheating are probably beneficial to add the amount of volume that you need and the amount of tension that you need for hypertrophic gains, but too much of it will not really help you. Again, this is something that you should figure out, and it is an experience based decision. Start with something where you are doing maybe 2 reps of cheating. As you progress with weight, you might find that there is a place where you do not cheat too much that your form breaks completely, but you are able to get those last few reps so that the hypertrophic stimulus is given to the body. Now, to summarize, 10 to 12 sets per muscle group per week, 6 to 12 repetitions on each exercise per set, and load that will help you complete the number of reps and sets decided with proper form and technique. Maybe 2 or 3 cheating reps after the repetition speed has gone down considerably. Now, what does considerably mean? For example, you are taking about 2 seconds for a rep. 1 second on the concentric and 1 second on the eccentric. If the concentric speed has increased by 3 to 4 times, which means the 1 second rep or the 1 second concentric is now a 3 second or a 4 second concentric, you're probably very close to failure. And again, I need to remind you, the rep speed needs to slow down while you are maintaining proper form and technique. The last parameter is the range of motion. Now, for each exercise, there is an effective range of motion. This effective range of motion may not be the full range of motion, which is different for different people and different limb lengths, but it is effective for the process of building muscle. For example, an ass to grass squat versus a parallel squat. A lot of people may not be able to go ass to grass. A lot of people may not find parallel squat as very effective. So this is something that each individual needs to figure out. Because of their limb lengths, because of their current skill levels, there may be differences in the range of motion that they are getting. Everyone needs to figure out what the effective range of motion is on a particular exercise and then stick to it and try to progressively overload on it. Now, hypertrophy training is the major part of a professional bodybuilder whose entire competition depends on aesthetics, balance, proportions, muscle size, etc. But it should not be the major part of training for a sports person, and definitely not for the general population. That is training for health and longevity. It should be a phase in your training life, a recurring phase, just like strength, power, muscular endurance, cardiovascular endurance. You can prolong this phase, this hypertrophy phase, if your goal is to build an aesthetic physique. But I would still suggest bringing shorter phases of strength, power, muscular endurance in the entire training cycle so that your health and longevity are maintained. As usual, if you found the video helpful, do like and share it. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
Strong-Ath-Func out.